What's good, everyone? Welcome back. Welcome back to the show. For today's episode, we actually going to get into this brand new episode of Xscape and SWV Queens of R&B episode 3, right? And it's titled Dis-Chord. And the synopsis for this episode states that Tocha opens up to Taj about her solo project. But it backfires when Taj decides the secret is too big to keep. SWV and Xscape hold another joint meeting to nail down details for the joint show. But egos, and it stops right there. And I would have to admit that, this show, is pretty decent, man. So let's go ahead and get into the discussion, man, about what's really going on in this show, right? So we start off with Taj and Tocha, and they actually meet up in Nashville. I guess while Tasha's in Nashville, because as we saw in the previous episode, she was here in Nashville to meet with Motown Gospel. But they actually meet downtown at the Museum of African American Music. So I'm going to just say this as a disclaimer. If you've never been to Nashville or even been to the African American Museum, I would say go. It's an awesome thing to go see. But I would suggest, just from my own personal experience, that I would give myself more than one day to go to the museum, because you're not going to be able to digest everything in just one day. So at least at minimum 2 days. But anyway, they're not paying me for that, so I'm going to just go ahead and move on. So they meet at the museum, and of course, Taj, while she was there, she walked Tocha through, and she showed her a display where they actually had the girls of Xscape on the wall. So they were part of African American music history. So that's pretty profound. And I would have to admit, this is the first time that I've seen Tocha, smile a whole lot. And it seemed like she was, pretty happy at this point, like just to see the success of the girls or what she has accomplished. I'm gonna just say that. So of course, while they were there, Taj had to, find out what was really going on between Tocha and, her sister. So she stated that the last time that they were together at the meeting that, things didn't seem right. So she was just pretty much wanting to know if everything had been squashed. So Tocha pretty much told her, there was some body shaming, and, they were talking about, the little booty committee and all this stuff. And and Taj was like, I know y'all ain't arguing about no asses. No little ass. But let me just say this, ladies. Real men, and I hear Ricky Smiley say this all the time as well. Listen, real men do not care if it's little, in between, or big. Let me say that again. Real men do not care if it's small, medium, large, extra large. We don't care. You know what I'm saying? Because that's not... It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I've seen girls. I've been with girls who are small. I've been with girls who, are bigger. It just doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, a woman is a woman for it. Hey, I'm not even going to have this discussion, but I'm just saying, when you get with a real man, that's not even a concern, right? So let's go ahead and move on. So Tocha shared with her also while she was there that she was there meeting for a solo project, for a record deal with Motown Gospel. So Taj was like, what? Like for a solo deal? And she was like, yeah, I just need some peace. I need some space. Like she doesn't have space right now. But anyhow, she needs some peace of mind. So we're going to let Tocha have that peace of mind. So the next thing we see, we head back over to Virginia, and we catch up with Coco and her friends. So she sits down with two of her friends, longtime friends, and they catch up pretty much. And during this scene, Coco discussed being diagnosed with bipolar depression. So, and I don't know if you guys recall, some years prior to now, there were a lot of headlines and a lot of different things coming out about SWV and their dealings with Coco. And then, eventually we found out, what really transpired with that. I didn't know to this degree, but obviously there was something really going on. And oftentimes, y'all, we just need to really I'm going to just say this. We need to make sure that we check on our mental health, man. Mental health is real. I was just talking to my brother about that, who lives in Atlanta, and he was talking about what he, discussed with, the person that he's working with, with his mental health. It is essential, man, and definitely for black men, it's all right, man, to go sit down with somebody and talk your feelings, and it's all right. You know what I'm saying? It's not weak. It's not whack to do. I can actually admit that for me, it was, it's a hard thing to do when you've been taught that, real men don't do this, but it's okay. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make you soft, but I'm just saying, just go in there, just get those things off of your mental state, man. Just get it out, hash it out, deal with those things, and move forward, because you will feel so much better. But anyway, I thought that was a great segment for her to talk about the whole mental health portion of what she was dealing with, and how she said she's feeling a lot better. Because as she just stated at the end, she stated they were talking about her age and talking about they officially, one of the lady that she was sitting down with, one of her friends was like, "You're officially getting old, super old. You guys are old." And she stated that she she still got that fire. It still gets wet like she was 21. And I said, I said, hey, I believe it too. Hey. But anyway, man, let's move forward, man. And so next we see Tamika and her mom. So Tamika's mom comes over to Tamika's house, where they sit down and they discuss their issues. They hash out their issues, and Tamika, pretty much states that she's been dealing with this situation for quite some time now, and as I stated in the previous review, that I believe that it was sort of like the example that I gave with the whole Boys in the Hood situation, where you have Doughboy and you had Ricky. They both had different daddies, and now in this case, that wasn't the case, but it was a problem with the man in the equation, and in the same way, it's like that in this context as well, because Tamika, stated that her mom never got over their dad leaving her and leaving them, and you could tell the emotion within the mom, like, I was there when your daddy walked out on us and all of that stuff, and that's not a great state to be in. That's not a state of mind that nobody wants to be in, feeling like you've been, abandoned and somebody took advantage of you. Once again, that's that mental state of mind. So her mom is dealing with her own insecurities. So, not just her own insecurities, trying to be a single mom, and then trying to put it all together, but also, at this point, if somebody reminds you of that person, you can almost, without even thinking about it, you can mistreat that person, that individual, because, you see them in them, and like Tamika, I keep calling her Tocha for some reason. They're sisters, but it just seems like it's that aggression there that she's taking out on Tamika. And Tamika stated that I remind her, of my dad. I'm a daddy's girl, and my daughter's like that too. Like, she has a mouth like me, she talks like me. Excuse me, my voice is going in and out, but it is what it is, man. So essentially, Tamika, finally, if I hurt you, in any type of way, if you felt like I disrespected you, I apologize. And her mom accepted her apology. And another thing that I liked here was the fact that Tamika stood up for herself. Like, she had to think about her mental state of mind. Like, if we're going to continue to have a relationship, you're going to have to respect me in a way as an adult. Like, and that's real talk, and that's hard for some parents to get across, to get over, rather, you know, dealing with your child, but everybody grows up. So in this case, Tamika is like, I really need you to respect me, respect my boundaries, and what I say to you is what I say to you, and just respect that. So, um, and it seemed like when Tamika stood up for herself, her mom was like, "Hold on, wait a minute, what you saying?" Like, eh, eh, for her to say that, potentially, like, we're done at this point if you can't respect me, her mom had to respect that and, like, no, I'm not going to lose my daughter over, over the issues that I have inwardly. And sometimes you really have to sit down and change your mind. And, you have to change the environment, and if it's not safe for you to be in those environments, then you just have to sometimes, leave, and when it comes to your parents, that can be very hard because you really want to be respectful, but at the same time, you really have to convey your message to them so that they understand as well. Because they're parents, they love us, they love you, they love us. So yeah, we just have to do that, right? So that was pretty much, all I got gathered from that scene. So let's move on, man. All right, so the next thing we see is Taj and Candy. So as I stated in the previous review, that Taj is super cool. Seems like she's pretty cool with everyone. She's even easy to talk to. So the girls pretty much said, like Candy stated, they've been close with Taj for a while. So she's easy to talk to. So in this scene right here, we see Taj and Candy talking, and while they're talking, Taj, tells her that, hey, I ran into one of your friends. And she was like, who? And she said, I ran into Tamika. Not Tamika. Damn, I keep I keep mixing the names up. I ran into Tocha. And she was like, really? And she was like, yeah, I met her in Nashville. And she was like, well, okay. And she was like, yeah, she was there shopping for a record deal. And Candy was like, what? Like, it didn't really seem like she was surprised at all, right? It seemed like she knew something was going on. And we see later on with Tiny, she thought the same thing, like everything wasn't on the up and up. So, and Candy also stated that it's been like that for a while, like she's done that before. So this isn't the first time that the girls of Xscape have seen this type of behavior with Tasha. So, but Taj pretty much let her know what it was. And they also talked about the meeting with Xscape and SWV. Like, we need to go ahead and finalize something. We need to go ahead and put something together where, we would love to have Tasha. But if we can't have Tasha, then we just gonna make it work. Like, there's money out here to go get, and we're gonna go get that money, right? So I absolutely agree, man. Let's go get that money, man, and don't focus about the rest of the shit, man, because we here today, gone tomorrow, and what they're thinking about are their legacies and what they're contributing to the music world, man. So if people or if people are still willing to pay money to go see SWV and Xscape, then go ahead and do that thing. Now, I would say this. My wife and I, we've seen Xscape twice here in the city of Nashville. The first time we saw them, it was all four of them together, and it was a great concert. The second time we saw them, they came with, I forget who they came with, but it was a great concert as well, but it was just the three of them. And of course, we really didn't know what was going down, but at the same time, I mean, Tamika held it down for her sister. Like, she was emotional during the performance. They had to um, prop her up a little bit. They were hugging on her, trying to keep her encouraged and things like that. So obviously things were going on during that performance as well. But Tamika did a hell of a job with singing her sister's, parts on the song. So the one thing that Tocha does not want them to get going, and it seems like it's already going, is that they are figuring out that they don't need Tocha to make Xscape run. And that's going to be a hell of a situation because, I mean, if we find out we don't need you, then we just going to keep pushing. Like, what's that group, Boys to Men? Like, I always wonder, like, what in the hell happened to old boy with the bass? And I'm like, and truth be told, truth be told, Boys the Man needs him. I mean, his voice to just have that sound that they had back in the 90s, because I've heard them as well, and they do not sound the same without, I believe his name is Michael or Mike, something like that. They need Michael. And like I said, it changes the dynamics of the group. But anyway, man, I I absolutely agree with Taj and Candy going out there and get that money, man. Going out there and get that money. So that's where we are in this scene. So all right, so next we head over to Atlanta. I think we head back to Atlanta. We head somewhere where Lily and her son are having a conversation, and they're at this bar setting where they're pretty much conversing about, the history, her history per se, what she had to deal with and what she had to go through as the group decided to break apart. It was, they broke up in the late 90s due to Coco wanting to go solo, I believe. And they just couldn't agree. So when they broke up, Lily pretty much said the money had dried up. She was homeless for a little while. She had to live in a car. She discussed all of those things that, people go through financially when all your bread and butter has been in one place, and now all of a sudden you have to make adjustments and reacclimate yourself to what's going on in your context. So she pretty much stated that she had to sleep in shelters or sleep in her car mostly until she had to get things together. She discussed about going back to school, getting her GED, and then got an office job. So I commend her for, bettering herself, making her situation better with the kids that she had and just being a single mom. She had to go out there and get it. And black people in general are just resilient people, man. And we need to know that each and every day when we get up in the morning, man, when we get up in the grand rising, we need to understand that we are up to make a change in this world by any means necessary. Be the best you can be, right? So, and looking at her now, she's bigger, beautiful, better than ever, man. So I applaud Lily, man, for doing her thing, man. Now, of course, when the group got back together, everybody was available. You know what I'm saying? Lily, Taj, and Coco. So, it worked out for the best of them. And obviously, she didn't need to go back to that office job. So, kudos to Lily for doing that, man. And now we head back and we deal with Tocha. She's actually in the studio at this moment. So next we head to the studio with Tocha. Now Tocha is in the studio. So next we head to the studio with Tocha. Tasha's in the studio working on her gospel album. Now I don't know if she signed a deal yet. I know they take a little step back in the previous episode to say, there's a place for you here at Motown. But I didn't know that she had already inked a deal or not. But obviously she has, because I heard her song on Sunday on the radio. And she was actually here in Nashville because she did an interview on the show as well. So I assume the deal has been inked. But in this scene, she's recording, she's placing some ad libs on the record, and her husband Rocky comes in and he's dancing to the music. Now, I mean, it's cool, man. It's cool to be a hype man for your spouse, man, and that's cool. I do the same thing for my wife, man. But also, I don't know what it is for him, like what it is about him that just irks me, man, and I ain't trying to judge him because I don't know old boy, but it's just something about him that's just not right. It's just not, it's something that's not clean in this situation. I'm not sure, man, but like I said, I don't know much about old boy, so I ain't here to, put nothing on him. So he may be cool, man, but I just feel like every time I see him, it's something. And then they sit down and have a conversation, and he's asking, about the whole situation about Xscape. And he's pretty much telling her, remind them of who you are and what you are. Nigga, what you need to really understand is that they are reminded of who they are. And as long as Tocha keeps sitting out on the sideline, they're going to be reminded of who she is as well as who they are, because they're going to keep moving without her. And if everything does not fall in place like she thinks it's going to fall in place, and she tries to come back to the group, I would not be shocked at all if they say, to hell with you. I'm just saying, man. You got to be careful how you leave, man. Like, with jobs and stuff, the old saying, be careful how you leave a job. And I know everybody doesn't agree with that, but at the same time, how you leave that job, you might need to go back to that job. So if you leave that job abruptly and you cuss everybody out at the job and you steal from the job and walk out, and then you come back and you actually need that job and they say, hell to the no, weren't you the one? Hey, you ass out, man. And now you're looking for employment, man. You got to be careful, man, because, you might need to go back. And I do not want Tocha to have to deal with that, man. And your sister is part of that group as well, man. So that's going to be hard as hell, man. But I hope Rocky isn't encouraging her to do what she's doing right now. I hope that man ain't doing that, man. But anyway, that was pretty much it in that scene. And we head over to Coco. Coco is... well, not Coco. Coco's son is actually, I guess he's doing what I'm doing right now. He's recording on a live video or a podcast or something like that, and he's singing or attempting to sing. I'm not gonna say too much about what I heard on. I'm not gonna say too much of what I heard on the vocals, man. I think he can sing, so I think I've heard him sing on something, but on this situation, it just didn't sound. It wasn't doing nothing for me. I'm just saying. I was just saying that. So I was like, damn, like, bro, you need to go back to. You sure you want to go back to dentistry school? I'm sorry, y'all. Hey, man. So his mom comes over, Coco comes over, they had this whole discussion, and he says, he doesn't want to go back to, college. He don't want to go back to school. And so he was like, well, no, I don't agree with that. And I absolutely don't agree with that. Go ahead and get your education, young man. Go get your education. While you're in school, do it on the side. Build your skills. Because what I heard, brother, you need to build them skills. Go get some voice lessons. Keep building on your skills. Music is going to be there, bro. I'm trying to tell you, music is going to be there. And his mom is right. His granny is right. You know what I'm saying? So Coco was like, well, okay, you're going to have to talk that up with your granny. So he sits there like, okay, I'm going to have to do that. So they call the grandmother, and she was like, what? And initially she was like, no, that's not the best decision. We just going to have to sit down and talk about it. And he was like, he started crying, and of course they got soft with him, and he was like, no, well, he was like, well, what if I just sit out for a year? And she was like, well, that's the best option. So Coco was like, damn, like, what type of, I didn't get that type of treatment. And listen, man, every child, man, look, from that generation and my generation and beyond, man, we all agree, like, What the hell was this parent when I was growing up like? I just think about like my sisters and all of them, man, like they got it made. Like they didn't have to do nothing. My youngest, like it was just crazy. Like I would get spanked at the drop of a dime, like for something that I didn't feel like I needed to get a whipping for. I'm like, but to see somebody else talking back and nothing happens, like nothing, or they do something that you know they're gonna get popped for or get reprimanded for, and nothing happens, you be like, damn, like what happened? Um, you done got soft, man. But yeah, man, Coco was like, I'm in my feelings. Like I said, I feel you, Coco. But yeah, so I guess they gonna decide to let that man stay off from work, from college a little bit, and let him work on his skills. So if he gonna do that, he need to do that pronto. he need he need to go ahead and get the best voice lessons possible. I'm not saying he can't sing, man. I'm just saying he's not the best right now. So I'm gonna just leave it at that. He's in the minor league. If you want to get to the pros and do what his granny said and want to go all the way, then that's what he needs to do. So go on and get that training in, my brother, and do what you need to do. And then for the next scene, we see SWV rehearsing with their manager, and Candy and Tiny are on their way, and I believe Tamika as well. They're on their way to the spot in Atlanta to sit down and have this meeting. And all the girls came to the meeting, including Tocha. And initially she wasn't going to go, but of course her husband, her right hand husband, had to tell her, go out in there and remind them who you are. But not only that, hey, at least hear the meeting out. I think that's what he said. I'm not sure. But so they sit down, and initially, they was like putting their hands in and said, we're going to make this happen. And Tasha was sitting off to the sideline like, no, and eventually she puts her hands into the circle. So I was like, okay, cool. We all on one accord. So at that point, the shit get a little murky, because Taj, who's cool pretty much with everybody in the group, across the board, is like, all right, for this concert and for this one concert alone, that is pretty much 30 days out, we're going to co-headline, which I absolutely agree. I believe that both of these groups are equally as talented, equally as accomplished to a certain extent, and I feel as though that they need to be co-headlined with both groups. Definitely if you're doing like you guys potentially were talking about in the first episode, where you were talking about having one group sing a song and all of this stuff. I thought that was a cool aspect of, doing a concert. But of course, Candy had to come out and talk about, well, we're accustomed to headliner. Who the fuck? Hey, Candy, all right, I respect you. But once again, listen, I feel Coco if you want to be 100. If you want to be 100 in this equation, I feel Coco. I sold 30 million records. And you sold how many? Now, I haven't looked it up exactly to see exactly how many records So Def has sold, for Xscape. But I do believe that they always had a platinum record. I believe that was true. But only to be platinum, you only need to sell 1 million records. So if you had 3 albums and you only sold, 3 million copies, it was what it was. But for SWV, Coco is like, we sold 30 million records. So even if you want to take that, if they had 2 to 3 records, and I can't remember the exact amount of albums they had, but if they had 3, that's at least diamond. That's 10 albums a piece. Now, I don't think that was the case, but 30 million versus 7 or less, or 10 or less, well, the more successful group is SWV. But as Tiny and Candy are talking about, they're saying, people are coming because we're the most popular. We're on social media. We're out here on reality TV. That's true. But at the same time, I don't see you traveling to other countries either, where people are asking for you to come to other countries to perform. I mean, you big here in the States, but what about worldwide? Worldwide exposure. Now, I'm not saying that, Xscape has not traveled outside the States to perform, but we just seen recently where SWV was coming from the continent of Africa. I didn't hear anything about Xscape coming from the continent of Africa performing Who Can I Run To? So, I mean, right now they're trying to decide where can I run to, because Tocha is running and she's going to get a solo record deal. So it seems like right now we need to, pump the brakes a little bit, roll it back in and see what really needs to be done for this show to really go down. So I think that would be my suggestion. But what are your thoughts? That's pretty much the end of the episode, because I just don't foresee it going any further if they can't get this money game right. And all they're talking about is just the logistics of whose name is going to be large on the pamphlet or the flyer or on the mail, on for this whole concert, and then who's going to make the most money. And I'm like, I mean, it is what it is. Just go headline, Candy. It's not that hard. But what are your thoughts? What do you think should be done? How do you think Xscape should handle this situation? And when I say Xscape, I mean Candy and Tiny, because those are the two figures that, they're claiming they have the most clout. So what's your thoughts on it? Please like and subscribe to this channel. Like this video and tell a friend about this channel. Man, we got so much I got to talk about, man. But stay tuned. I got a video I'm getting ready to drop on Power Book 2. So go ahead and stay tuned, and we'll talk later. Peace.